So charging a Tesla or any electric car is pretty cheap, but what if there was a way to do it for free, as in pay absolutely nothing to charge your car up? So I'm going to show you how I actually charge my Tesla Model 3 for free, but most of what I cover, that applies to every electric car, not just a Tesla. So if you're wanting to reduce your running costs, or you're just intrigued as to how I do this, stick around and I'm going to cover some tips, my advice, and answer some of your questions as well. Also, thank you to Octopus for sponsoring today's video. So when it comes to charging your car, there are two ways you can do this, either at home or away. Now, charging at home is the easiest and most convenient option, as you're usually charging overnight when you don't need it, plus you don't need to go out of your way to do it. And then when it comes to charging at home, you can install a charger on your garage or on the side of your house for roughly £500 or $700, and this lets you charge your car at around 30 miles an hour, so 5 hours overnight, that get you about 150 miles range the next day. Or you could simply use a standard 3-pin plug that most EVs come with, plugging that into any wall outlet, and it'll get you about 10 miles an hour. So again, if you're charging for a 12-hour period, you'll get about 120 miles. So if you're unable to, or you don't want to install a home charger on the side of your house, then the 3-pin plug is more than capable. But it doesn't matter which of the two cables you use to charge your car, because they both do the same job. Just one is faster but costs you more for a charger up front, while the other is slower, but you can just use any wall outlet. So the second option for charging your car is away from home. Now, there are various situations where you might need to charge while you're out and about, or maybe you don't have the ability to charge from home at all. So if you don't have a drive or parking outside your house, you might not be able to charge each night, but that doesn't mean you cannot have an EV. It just means more planning needs to go into it. So when it comes to using public chargers, there are a couple of options available. You've obviously got the Tesla Supercharging network if you've got a Tesla, or there are third-party chargers for anyone to use. Now, public chargers are awesome, we need them and I really appreciate them, but the biggest issue with public chargers, at least here in the UK, is that there are so many networks installing them today that they all have their own membership setup, their own apps, terms and costs, so unless you frequent the same ones, there's a good chance that you will need to install multiple apps, create multiple accounts, and even add top-up credit to even use them. So obviously in an EV we don't use miles per gallon like we do in a petrol or a diesel car, instead we use the watt-hours per mile. So unlike miles per gallon, you actually want this number to be lower rather than higher. So for example, 200 is better and more efficient than 250. I'm explaining this because it gives you a good idea of how to work out and how much each journey or full charge will cost you based on this number. So for example, the Tesla Model 3 long range, which I have here, should get around 348 miles of range, and it has a 75 kilowatt hour battery. So that would mean to get the full 348 miles, we'd need to put 75,000 divided by 348 miles equals watt-hours per mile of 215, whereas I actually average around 260. Now that means, working it backwards, I will have a range of 288 miles of full charge. Again, the more efficient you drive, the lower the number is and the more range you will get. And this leads me on to how much it typically costs to charge the car both at home and away, so this figure is quite useful for that. Okay, so looking at the cost of charging at home, which is where most people will probably do their charging. So the average cost per kilowatt hour is 14.37 pence according to ukpower.co.uk. Now that's pretty high, but this is across the entire UK. Now I'm with Octopus on their Go tariff, and that means my day rate is 13.31 pence and my night rate between 12:30 and 4:30 in the morning is only 5 pence. To put that into perspective, if I charged my car from empty to full, it would cost me £10.78 with the average electricity rate here in the UK, £9.98 with the Octopus Go day rate, and then only £3.75 with the Octopus Go evening or night rate. Then, as we've worked out before, that £3.75, that will get me roughly 288 miles from a full charge, and that's with my current efficiency. So if I only charge the car on an evening during the 5 pence rate, it would only cost me £13 a month to cover 1,000 miles, which is just 1.3 pence per mile. So my advice to you is have a look at your energy supplier, have a look at your latest bill, and it will say on there how much you're currently paying per kilowatt hour. But even if £13 a month sounds too much to cover 1,000 miles, there's another way to get it for practically free, without spending any money on solar panels or a wind farm in your garden, and that's via referrals. So I've mentioned in a few other of my videos that if you use my referral code to switch to Octopus, we both get £50 credit to our account. And that £50, well, that can keep you going for more than 3,500 miles if you're using the Go tariff, which I'm on. Then if you refer someone else, a friend, a colleague, or a family member, for example, each of you both get another £50 added to your account. So it's a win-win. You get cheaper energy, they get cheaper energy, you both get £50 as well as keeping it green. So I've had a few comments in the past asking why I use them and how long I've been with them. Well, I've been with Octopus for nearly a year now, and although I've only been on their Go tariff for about 8 months, the biggest advantage other than the low and green energy is the fact there are no exit fees or contracts. So you're not tied in for months or years if you do change your mind. To sign up, I just visited the website, did a quote, and I did the switch there and then. I think it literally took me about 3 or 4 minutes. And they do all the work for you. They do the switch over as well. And they will sort you out with a smart meter if you need one. So I didn't have one of the new smart meter version 2s. Although obviously with the current lockdowns, you might need to be put on a waiting list for when an opening becomes available. Oh, and another thing, make sure you use a referral link to get that £50 credit on your account. And obviously you can use that towards your bills. As if you do search online and you don't use a referral link, you won't get that £50. But to be honest, their customer service is super helpful and they will probably help you out if they can. And on top of that, Octopus Energy actually comes from 100% green generation, and that includes wind, solar and hydro. So your car and the energy you're putting into it is 100% green too. And I've actually read lately as well that Octopus are even building technology to make it cheaper for the national grid, to make them even greener. And the fact that the UK is actually quite green already, this is brilliant news. So here are a few awards that they've actually won over the last few years, which it makes me wonder why I didn't swap sooner. So if you're serious about saving money, going green, or you just want to add £50 credit to your account, please use my link in the description. But maybe Octopus isn't available in your country, but the advice that I've given, that still applies to probably most providers out there. So for example, if you're from the United States, have a look around, see what providers allow you to benefit from a £50 or $50 referral, and again you can apply my tips and tricks to your own country. Now you might actually wonder how I charge my car during the night at certain times. So there are 2 ways you can do this. One is you can set a start and a departure time actually in the car itself, but you can't use the app, or you can use a third-party app to do it. So that's the route that I've taken. So I actually use an app called EV Energy. Now that's actually linked to both my Rolex home charger and my Tesla account. Now this essentially lets me put in my energy provider details, so obviously that's Octopus Go, and it lets me put in the tariff that I'm on as well, and even select off-peak charging only. Now this means that when I plug the car in, it won't actually start charging the car until it hits 12:30 AM, and then it will only charge during those off-peak hours. So I'll get those 4 hours a night or 120 miles of range, and that's enough for me most nights, and it means I'm only paying the 5p rate. If I did need more though, I can open the app up and I can actually override that charging just by pressing the boost button in the app, and it will start charging straight away. But obviously then I will be paying the higher rate during that day. So next up, Tesla Supercharging, and I have covered this in greater detail in a dedicated video. However, Supercharging usually costs on average 24p per kilowatt hour here in the UK and 32 cents per kilowatt hour in the US. Now to charge a Model 3 long range from 10% to 80% would be 52 kilowatt hours, or roughly £12.60. Comparing that like for like with charging at home, it would hypothetically cost you £18 to charge from 0 to 100%. Now obviously that's not free, but there are 2 ways you can do this for free with a little effort. First, if you've not ordered or bought a Tesla yet, make sure that you use a referral code when you do, because then you'll get 1,000 free supercharger miles added to your account, and that'll be valid for 6 months. And this will allow you to use the Tesla supercharger network completely free, perfect for those long road trips. The next tip for free supercharging is to give your referral code out away to friends, family, or anyone else who's looking to buy one. For every person that uses your link, you both get 1,000 miles added to your account. And you could be as creative with this code as you'd like. So create content, write articles, pin it to your canteen notice board. Just make sure that you read their terms and conditions to keep it above board. But to give you an idea, as of today, I've actually referred 127 of you to buying a Tesla, which for me is massive and more miles than I'll ever need to use. So with that in mind, if you have a referral code yourself, right now I want you to drop it in the comments so somebody else can use your code. So again, if you've got a referral code right now, copy and paste it and pop it in the comments. And finally, public charging for the non-Tesla chargers. So I mentioned earlier that there are so many different networks and public chargers available. And how do you find the free ones? Well, I use an app called ZapMap, and I've obviously mentioned this previously as well, which essentially lets you filter and search for chargers based on price, network, cable type, and some other factors as well. Now what I do is I change the price filter to free, and I change the cable type to type 2, for example, and then I search. And so far in the 11 months that I've had my car, I have never ever paid to charge it away from home. And if you do use the app, make sure you add comments or notes after each charge, as it's definitely useful for other users to see if there's a problem or just to verify that that charger is still working. So in summary, there are 3 ways that you can get free energy for your car. The first one is if your energy provider allows you to refer friends and family and so on and get a monetary gain from that. If your energy provider doesn't allow that, then switch to another provider. Do it first, do it before your friends and family do, and then refer them into that same plan. Secondly, if you're going to order a Tesla, make sure you use somebody else's referral link, like mine. And once you've got a Tesla, make sure you pass that referral link out to everybody that you know. Whether you write a blog or an article or create content yourself, get that link out there. And as I've said earlier, drop it in the comments in this video as well. And the third option, look for public charging that's free. So use the app ZapMap, download it, switch the filters on, only use the free chargers in your area. So that's 3 ways that you can charge your car completely free. And something I didn't mention earlier was how many referrals I've actually had through Octopus. And put it this way, with the number of referrals that I've had so far in the last 6 months or so that I've been talking about them, I practically won't need to pay for electric at all for my house for probably the next 4 or 5 years at this stage. So it's really, really impressive. So again, using these tips, you can save a lot of money, not just on charging your car, but on running your house as well. So if you've made it this far into the video, firstly, I just want to say thank you. There's probably not many of you left now. So if you have made it this far in, thank you. And why don't you drop a comment in the description so I know you're still here. So drop a comment in and just write in green energy. And I know which ones of you have obviously made it this far in. And if you've got any questions at all or any suggestions for a new video, please drop them in the comments. And if this video was useful to you, please consider dropping a like. And if you want to see more videos from myself, why not subscribe? You can also follow me on my other social channels, including Instagram and Twitter. Until next time.